had died. Now, for the first time, federal health officials confirm that the West Texas infection spread not only to neighboring New Mexico and Oklahoma, but to Utah and Arizona. If the current transmission isn't controlled by January, the country will no longer be able to say that measles has been wiped out in the U.S. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down 1.3% already, 634 points to 45,955. Coming up, we still got pretty big delays on I-15 and on other spots around the commute. We'll update you on with traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah. And young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. Make your voice heard right now. Log on to demandmoresupply.com. demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep families close.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
At Bank of America, we asked our teammates, what makes this company a great place to work?
There's very little that you can't accomplish working for Bank of America.
If you prove yourself, you can try over in a totally new way.
You can learn so much here. You're the owner of your career.
See how our teammates are growing in their careers at bankofamerica.com/great place to work. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 seeing heavy delays due to a crash at the South Interchange. Well, they're still blocking the right lane and shoulder. Looks like they are getting ready to pull out any minute now. But you still have heavy delays that are spotty between the Point of the Mountain and South Interchange. And northbound Bangerter Highway in West Valley still seeing heavy delays between 4700 South and 4100 South. And eastbound on the 201 freeways, new slowing between Bangerter Highway and I-215's West Belt. Two Brothers Mattress. Don't miss their huge Black Friday sale that's going on now on all Tempur-Pedic mattresses. Save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic mattresses. Visit twobrothersmattress.com. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather not looking as cold over the next few days as it looked like it might be yesterday. Today, partly sunny with highs in the 50s, but rain could start back up tonight after midnight and into tomorrow morning. Right now, it's 49 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. I'm back. I kind of come and go, Holly. This injury has really set me back a little, but I'm here for the duration. I'm not taking any more time out. I guess Dave Colley filled in very well for me yesterday. So
yeah, he did.
Nice to listen to you guys. This first story is something that I guess is somewhat near and dear to me because I practice law. I've practiced for 43 years, and so when judges are criticized or in this case threatened, it really bothers me a lot. And of course, we're talking about the judge that issued the ruling on Utah's redistricting case. She is now getting some threats for her decision. We know that the legislature has been very critical of her, and we know that the legislature has talked about maybe even filing articles of impeachment. We don't know how far those have gone or will go. But boy, when people start threatening judges, that one's really difficult. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson explains a little more about this.
Judge Diana Gibson ruled last week against Utah's legislature over the state's congressional maps, saying their proposal didn't meet the standards laid out by Prop 4. Legislative leaders accused her of gerrymandering in favor of the Democrats. But Utah's judiciary says a judge's job is to apply the law to the facts without external pressure. Elizabeth Wright, president of the Utah State Bar, says these threats are bad news, not just for Judge Gibson, but for the entire legal system.
We want an independent judiciary and for judges to be able to do their jobs safely without threat of violence. And it's a very sad state of affairs when judges are being threatened like that for making a decision.
She says if someone disagrees with the decision, they should pursue legal recourse like appeals instead of resorting to threats. Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
I think it's maybe a sign of the times that there's threats just seem to become commonplace almost, right? And when I was in the legislature, it's been already 15 years now, I got death threats when I was there for a vote that I was taking on immigration.
Oh, really?
And it passed, so it had the majority of the legislature who were voting for it. And it's weird to say, but they were like run-of-the-mill death threats, right? Where people weren't saying, I'm coming to your house and I know where you live and this is how you're going to die. It was more along the lines of, you deserve to die, you should be taken out in the public square and shot. A bullet to the back of the head would be a good idea. I mean, it was those types of things.
That's awful.
Well,
I mean,
it was normal, right? So I told somebody recently how much I enjoyed this job hosting Inside Sources, and they said, do you ever have people make mean comments? And I'm like, well, yeah, but nobody ever threatens to kill me anymore.
Right, yeah. And I don't know that I've experienced that much. I mean, I've certainly had threats. I mean, let's face it, in my business, it's difficult. But for a judge, and you know what? We've had 3 or 4 judges in Utah who have had to make very, very difficult decisions, going back to the trigger ban after Roe versus Wade was flipped over.
Oh, yeah.
And Utah's legislature had initiated a trigger law, I should say, which a judge put on hold. And, as soon as that happens, people just start coming out of the woodwork. And even some of our elected officials, he is a biased judge,
right,
a liberal judge, somehow
activist judge.
Yeah. I mean, and what people don't realize is, and I've said this before, judges don't go out and pick cases that they want to hear. Cases are assigned to them, and the judge often, maybe always, has no say in that at all. They can, if they have a conflict because maybe they worked for a law firm that's involved in the case, they can say, hey, I can't hear this case. But otherwise, it's a case before them, and they've got to hear it. They've got to do what they've got to do. And that's exactly what happened on this case involving the redistricting. People don't like her decision. People were concerned about what she had done. But it wasn't like she had this idea that, boy, we really need to do something about redistricting in Utah. I am 100% sure, Holly, when this case landed on her desk, when the case was filed by the plaintiffs, she said,
"Yeah,
oh boy, here we go. Here goes my legal, future, at least in terms of public perception." And she is a great judge. I mean, I did a trial before her about 2 years ago. I lost, and through no fault of hers, but I thought she was incredibly fair and very well liked.
So I'm looking at the press release, and this came out from the Utah Bar Association, but it says the Utah judiciary does not comment on the specifics of any threats made toward judges or court employees. However, they acknowledge that such incidents have recently occurred. So I think sometimes people are like, well, if I don't see it on X, then it hasn't happened. And I have seen threats on X, not specifically towards Judge Gibson, but definitely towards elected officials in the state of Utah. And some of them are very violent. But you can have an email threat or a phone call threat, or, back in the day when I was in the legislature, we got threats by fax, believe it or not.
Threats, yeah.
They're just faxing a threat. Here, go deliver this to this person's desk.
And then you've got the whole, the Matheson Courthouse. They've got to up their ante in terms of security. I'm sure that they've got more bailiffs there working today. I'm sure that the metal detectors are going to be cranked up another notch so you can't even walk in with a penny in your pocket. You know what I mean? Sometimes they just go off on anything.
Well, remind us why the security increased originally in the Matheson Courthouse.
Well, I mean, it was even before the Matheson Courthouse when we used to have the court where the Library Square is right now.
Oh, yeah.
That was the old court. It was, and there was a shooting there.
Yeah.
There was a killing, and a bailiff was shot. A man who was being transported from the jail, I think it was Ronnie Lee Gardner, who was being transported from the jail, and his girlfriend had apparently slipped a gun under a drinking fountain. He goes to get a drink and comes out with a gun, and all of a sudden, shots are being fired. And so after that, you couldn't, before that, and I remember because I was practicing law back then, we could walk into the courts, we could walk back into the judges' areas, back to the clerks' areas, talk to people anytime you wanted. You didn't have to worry about anything. Now, boy, there are gates everywhere. You can't go back and talk to the judges' clerks. I've been to a court 1,000 times, but the bailiffs still stop you and say, okay, take your laptop out, empty your pockets. Now they search your car when you go in the underground parking.
Wow.
They'll make you pop your trunk up.
Yeah.
And look inside look at you and roll all your windows down and go through your car.
Also one of the things that I think we might see an increase in is security around the Utah legislature. So they're meeting tomorrow for their interim days. They've got a few meetings today, but tomorrow there'll be a bunch. But when I was on the Hill, it was people can still carry. There's no question that legislators can still carry, but it seems like relatively easy to have access if somebody wanted to do people harm, and I think that might change.
And legislators and judges and public figures are in those positions, half the day, and then they go home. And if someone really wanted to find out where they lived or where their family is, they could do that.
Well, I've seen threats against current elected officials right now that say, "I know where you live, and I know where your kids live, and I'm coming after you."
Right. That there's just no place for that at all. And this judge did what she thought was the right thing to do. Take it up on appeal. If you don't like the decision, just take it.
That's the right process.
Right.
All right. Look, this morning I was trying to finish the Utah Policy newsletter early in the morning, like 5:30 or 6, and the Utah Policy website and X were both down due to a Cloudflare outage, which meant I couldn't actually complete it quite all the way. So
Cloudflare outage?
Yeah. We're going to get the latest from ABC's Mike Dubusky when we come back after the break.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Experience the timeless Christmas classic that has captivated audiences nationwide. From the Michael McLean family to your family. See The Forgotten Carols musical. with an unforgettable story and songs that are a Christmas tradition. Come meet our next generation and share the magic of Christmas in Orem, Salt Lake City, Ogden, Tooele, Logan, and Saratoga Springs. Tickets at ForgottenCarols.com.
Do you remember what was happening in America? Families struggling, billions in wasteful spending. But Senator Mike Lee fought back. He voted for working family tax cuts. And Senator Lee voted to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse, saving taxpayers billions. So call Senator Mike Lee at 202-224-5444 and thank him for supporting the Working Families Tax Cut. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
I don't know if you remember, Holly, but there used to be an ad for one of our military branches, and they would show these people just working and running and marching, and they would say, "We do more by 8 a.m. than some people do all day." And that applies to my co-host, Holly Richardson, because I get here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I turn on my computer, and you have half our show written. But today, when you logged in at 4:30 or 5 o'clock,
I had some trouble.
There was a little problem. What was going on?
So when I went to finish up the newsletter, I couldn't get my press releases off of Utah Policy. And so utahpolicy.com is on a WordPress. That's the back end of it. And so then I went to see if I could find another tweet to put in that spot. And Twitter was down, X was down as well. And I got these error messages that Cloudflare had a problem. I didn't even know what Cloudflare was, but luckily we have somebody to explain it to us. It's ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
What is Cloudflare and why was it impacting me?
A good way to think about Cloudflare is basically like an internet middleman, right? So you log on through a web browser to access the internet. And let's say you want to go to a website, for example, KSL.com or ABCnews.com. Those websites exist on a server. And what your browser does is it requests the server to serve you up the website that you're looking for, and then you can browse that website. Well, the middleman here is Cloudflare, geez, excuse me.
Okay.
Bit of a tongue twister. But what they do is they provide security services, right? They're there to basically check your browser to make sure that you're not a malicious actor, that you're not a bot. They provide a whole variety of different security services for the internet. About 20% of the internet, we think, some way touches Cloudflare. So when they had this outage earlier today, it took out a huge swath of the internet. You mentioned some of the websites that were affected there. X, formerly Twitter, was one of the big ones, but also Spotify. The website for ChatGPT was also affected. Even the website we use to track outages, which is called Down Detector, was down because of the Cloudflare outage. So it really underscores, guys, exactly how far-reaching these internet infrastructure companies are.
So, Mike, when you talk about websites being affected, what did that look like? You couldn't access them?
Yeah. So, for example, this morning, if you tried to log on to Twitter or X.com, instead of being presented with a feed of posts, you were presented with a screen indicating that there was an issue with Cloudflare. It would show the name of that service. It would show that, your browser is working and that the server that X exists on is working. But again, that middleman was not working. So it really kind of laid out for you exactly what the problem was. In terms of what the problem specifically entailed, we're still learning a little bit more about it. Dane Knecht is the CTO of Cloudflare, and he posted to social media about 2 hours ago or so about this outage, apologizing to their customers and saying that they are going to share more information later, but in the meantime, they think this was a latent bug in a bot mitigation capability. So basically one of their services that tries to guard against bot attacks or sort of automated systems on the internet that can be used for harm. They say this is not an attack. This was not the result of a cyber hack or anything like that. Really just a bug that went wrong. But again, guys, I think the big takeaway is that when something small like this happens, which it does with some frequency, it really does have these wide-scale outsized impacts because so much of our internet landscape really relies on just a handful of companies.
That's super interesting. So what's the status now?
Right now, Cloudflare says that everything is back up and running. They've resolved that bug. They've fixed the issue. And while there may be a handful of issues that crop up over the course of the day as people log on to different services and discover that it may or may not be working, largely things are getting back to normal. And that is reflected in people's sort of energy usage or website usage over the course of the last hour or so. X is back up and running. Spotify is back up and running. So it seems like we're back to normal, but yeah, really frustrating morning for many, especially those trying to put together a newsletter.
And you kind of put this to bed, Mike, but a lot of us including me, thought this is some sort of cyber attack. This was the Chinese showing us that they can shut down our websites anytime they want. But the folks at Cloudflare seem to think it was something internal, something other than that.
Yeah. Again, it's easy for our minds to go there, and we've seen that happen in the past. But even if you go back to last month's major outage, this affecting Amazon Web Services, different company, that was the result of a bug, essentially, a flaw in a piece of code that went wrong and had these sort of big ripple effects. Seems to be the same story this time around, slightly different company. But even still, this was not a nefarious thing, just a piece of code that went wrong, a bug that showed up in the very complex system that, again, underpins a lot of the internet.
I don't know if anybody's talking about this, but are there security measures that even end users like myself should be taking, or is it just something you just expect that at some point you're going to have outages on the internet and you may or may not lose stuff?
So This is going to be an unsatisfying answer. For the average person, this is just something that we're going to have to deal with, right? A huge part of our lives obviously exist online. A large part of our jobs exist online, meaning that you're dealing with a variety of different services, all of which draw their origins back to just a couple companies. Cloudflare is one of them on the security end of things, but Amazon Web Services and Google kind of provide the bigger cloud computing infrastructure for a lot of these companies. In terms of what the average person can do, I don't know, advocate for diversification of the websites that you rely on when it comes to their back-end infrastructure. I think that's what you're going to hear a lot from cybersecurity experts and maybe the technology officers at a variety of companies going forward. Hey, maybe we shouldn't be putting all our eggs into the Cloudflare basket. Maybe we should be diversifying a little bit more with some of these other providers when it comes to getting our services online. But again, very early stages of that. That's a complicated and expensive process, and one that, we just are not married to right now, which means that, unfortunately, for the average person, I think this is just going to be something we have to deal with.
And speaking of putting all your eggs in one basket, there were about 20 eggs in this basket. I'm looking at ChatGPT, like you said earlier, X, Zoom, Uber, Truth Social. I mean, the list of websites in this is huge. And I guess that, anyone accessing any of those would have experienced the same thing my co-host Holly did this morning. Is that correct?
It seems that way. And admittedly, your mileage will vary. Like, I was able to log on to some services this morning that other people were not able to get on. But that's kind of the nature of these large companies, right? This was true during the Amazon outage last month, where, some of their services, maybe in certain regions, run with certain companies like Cloudflare. Maybe if you live in a different region, it's slightly differently structured. But yeah, a very frustrating day for many. And we're still trying to get our head around exactly how wide scale this outage was. We, again, know that 20% of the internet, thereabouts, somehow does business with Cloudflare, but obviously not all of them were impacted by this. So it's evolving story. We're going to continue to track it. And the CTO of this company, Cloudflare, Dane Knecht, says that they are going to share a more detailed understanding, or at least their understanding of what went wrong, a little later today.
I have one last really quick question. Was the fix something that was just a temporary, we fixed this bug, or is this a permanent fix? Do you know?
In terms of what specifically their fix was, we don't really have a ton of clear understanding on that. They say they, have issued this fix and that things are coming back to normal. But, you can imagine that this will prompt some pretty intense meetings over at Cloudflare about how to guard against this sort of thing in the future. But yeah, that's about the size of it. Again, we're still trying to understand the nature of the problem, more specifically than just the sort of bug post that the CTO shared earlier today. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand at this point.
Thanks, Mike. That was ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky, who joins us regularly, and he has mastered the tongue twister of the day, which is Cloudflare.
I know, right?
and he said it like 8 times in a row perfectly, and I'm not going to say it again, but except to know that it's something I'd never thought about before, but it sure affected a lot of people. Speaking of affecting a lot of people, have you ever got a parking ticket, Holly, that you thought was unfair?
I've gotten very few parking tickets, actually.
Well, some recent data show there are some what we call hot spots in Salt Lake. We'll learn more from KSL's Andrew Adams when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Tonight, the Granite School District Board is expected to discuss a recommendation to close Eastwood and Morningside elementary schools. The recommendation comes after a population study found both schools are seeing declining enrollment. The district superintendent tells KSL.com the board does not have to follow the recommendation if they don't want to. The board is expected to make a final decision 2 weeks from today. A state lawmaker is putting together a bill that would give charter schools first dibs on buying closed schools. Here's KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman with more.
The proposal, sponsored by Representative Candace Perucci, would allow districts to hold on to unused buildings. But if they did decide to sell, charters would be the first in line instead of the city, which currently has first right of refusal. The draft bill follows lower enrollment in schools across the state, which has caused a few public schools within Salt Lake County to consider closure. Parents already concerned over the looming discussions of public school closures say that the bill makes the stakes even higher for their communities.
Lawmakers have yet to discuss the bill, but if approved, it could go into effect as soon as next May. Hey, our top national story this hour from ABC News. House lawmakers will vote today on whether all of the Epstein files should be released.
In the final hours, the president reversing course, telling Republicans to vote yes, insisting he would sign the bill if it reaches his desk.
Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us.
But over the last several months, the president has repeatedly tried to stop this vote from happening.
ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow gaining back a little bit of what it's lost, but still down 393 points to 46,196. Coming up, the temperatures aren't going to be quite as cold over the next few days as we thought. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 Arctic Spas here in Utah. We've learned that Arctic Spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic Spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week, but if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once, go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Did you work in uranium before 1990? Then you need to know that RECA is back. You may now qualify for compensation of $100,000. We provide the best in-home care for former energy workers. CNS Cares can guide you to the resources you need to file a claim. Call CNS Cares to find out if you are eligible. Let's make sure you get all the care and support you deserve. Call 855-CNS-RECA today.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Tito Nani.
Still seeing some slight slowdowns on northbound I-15. This begins around 90th South, and then it continues up to the I-215 South interchange in Murray. Also seeing some smaller slowdowns, this again on northbound I-15. It appears to be between 144th South up to around 123rd South in Draper. Aside from this, southbound I-15 is looking to be in great shape, as well as all of our other major valley freeways. Kick off the season at Junction Commons, Park City. Join them for tree lighting Thursday, November 20th at 4 p.m. Festive fun, crafts, music, and the big tree light up. Don't miss it. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, be partly sunny, highs in the 50s. Rain could start back up tonight after midnight and into tomorrow morning, but right now only about a 20% chance of that. Right now, it's 49 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Parking enforcement in Salt Lake City is busier than ever. A KSL analysis reveals that nearly 400,000 parking tickets were issued in Salt Lake City since 2019. And Holly, that is double the population of Salt Lake City. And so I'm happy to report that I've held up my end of that very well because I've had way more than 2 parking tickets since 2019. I probably get about 2 a year. I just do. It's
Why?
Well, a number of reasons. Sometimes I have meetings that go longer than 2 hours.
Okay.
And so I go to a meeting
That's fair.
you're in there and go, well, do I run outside, put another,
Move the
you
car.
don't put a nickel in the meter anymore. You put your
Right.
credit card in it. Do I move the car? Or sometimes I'm late for a meeting, so I'll just take my chances and just park. I mean, it's pilot air virtually every time. And then you think, well, why did I pay in the first place? Because if it goes over 5 minutes, boom, you get a ticket. We'll be speaking with KSL TV's Andrew Adams in just a moment. But first, let's listen to part of the latest story that he did about these numbers.
When it comes to downtown, there's one sure way to get the people talking.
They get into the afternoon hours, it's a fight to find a spot.
Just ask them about parking.
Yeah, it gets really hard and really difficult.
And of course, parking tickets.
I paid. I came back. I had a parking ticket, so I'm literally doing a dispute right now.
Parking tickets have a way of piling up here. KSL requested information on over 6 years worth of parking tickets, and we learned Salt Lake City issued more than 396,000 citations and warnings starting in 2019.
Yow.
So many. So we want to hear from you. Text us at 57500 and share that parking ticket story that still has you fuming to this day. So we're also going to take calls in the next segment so you can share your story on air, but that'll be after this conversation with KSL TV's Andrew Adams.
Andrew, are you with us this morning?
I'm here with you. I appreciate you having me on.
So I watched your segment, and you had to blip at least one person who was talking about his ticket, and that hit close to home with me. But can you tell our listeners, were there sort of any particular areas or streets that stood out in terms of Salt Lake City? I guess the downtown hub is where I think most of the parking enforcement occurs.
Well, and the city will say that they basically police all of their streets and around the city, but the statistics do tend to bear out that the most ticketed streets tend to pass through downtown. So 300 South, I believe, had the most in that time frame. It was close to 30,000 citations and warnings. And, all those streets within that area, West Temple, State, they all ranked highly on the list, which could be understandable. Obviously, it's a city that is growing very quickly, very rapidly, all kinds of construction projects, which probably add to the parking dilemmas for people on a daily basis. And the city recognizes that, but they say, hey, if we don't enforce it, it's absolute chaos, which obviously it would be.
So did you find any correlation between ticketing and complaints from the public?
They did say that these are primarily complaint-driven. And, I mean, there are statistics that bear out that point to things that probably would be more likely to relate to complaints, things like people stopped or people parking in no parking zones. Perhaps if that's a recurring issue, people get called out to that area. And certainly in the numbers of citations, people parking in no parking zones, that ranks very highly. ADA stalls, which was part of our interest in requesting this data set to begin with, after a story I did earlier in the year, I think in terms of penalties assessed, ranked fourth on the list, even though a relatively smaller number of citations, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,700. It accounted for nearly $1.5 million in assessed penalties.
Andrew, were you able to talk to anyone with the city about the parking meters themselves? And the reason I mention that is because I'm old school, and I remember the old meters where we put a quarter in and you got 15 minutes, and then you could put 4 quarters in, you get an hour. And those were very mechanical, very simple. These new ones, to me, they're sometimes a little more confusing. First of all, it's really hard to see the screen if the sun is shining in it. And then, you're plugging in your credit card, trying to get the right amount of time. I mean, has the city said anything about these new meters? Are they happy with those? I mean, certainly, I guess it's the way of the future that things are more digital than mechanical. But what's been the take on these meters?
Well, the city says, they're trying to adapt with technology as they go, and obviously there's some ability to pay through an app. But we heard from people who are parking downtown, and we talked to a bunch of people, and I think generally the consensus was it's somewhere between what you said, that it can be confusing, or that sometimes it takes too long. And if people are looking to run a quick errand, you have to question, are they going to take the time out of their day simply to do that if they think they can get back to their car quickly? And obviously that's a calculation a lot of people seem to make, and what could obviously contribute to additional tickets.
What surprised you most about those almost 400,000 tickets?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Say that again, Holly.
What surprised you the most when you saw nearly 400,000 tickets have been issued since 2019?
Well, obviously the absolute scope of that was surprising, to think that really you're almost up to basically 2 tickets per person in the city population. But even more surprising than that is you would think it would take a small army to write those tickets, even over the course of 6.5 years, which is what the data set represents. But we're talking about a relatively small crew here. I mean, we're talking about less than 20 workers. I think they said that they had 19 paid positions, but they're only working with 17 people, a staff of 17 people right now. And so that's, I mean, considering that they have to cover, I think they said 500 miles worth of streets within city limits, and certainly they comb the downtown area. But that's not a lot of people when you consider all the massive volume of tickets that were written in that time period.
Andrew, was the city able to provide you data in terms of the type of violations? I mean, are most of these expired meters, or just they never fed the meter in the first place, or something else?
Well, it does appear that expired meters and parking for more time than is allotted, so I presume in like a 2-hour parking area or something like that, those are very high on the list, as are registration and plate issues, which does suggest some proactive enforcement efforts, right? But they stand by the fact that, it is largely a complaint-based system, and they are trying to respond to when people reach out to them with problems.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with KSL 5 TV's Andrew Adams about nearly 400,000 parking tickets being issued in Salt Lake City since 2019.
And I don't know what it is about parking tickets, but they really drive people crazy. I mean, and it is a parking ticket.
Apparently not our texters, because we have no text on this issue.
Well, that's a good point. Well, when we come back, we do want to get your text at 57500.
And phone calls. We'll take live phone calls if people want to call in. So that's 801-575-TALK, T-A-L-K. And you can share your parking ticket story. So we'll be right back after the break.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more.
Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you gonna pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox, Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason this guy's on the radio. So I called him.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer and compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
The new Inside Sources.
So, do you have a parking ticket story that still has you fuming today? Call us at 801-575-TALK and share your experience. That's 801-575-TALK. We're talking about this because a new KSL analysis reveals that nearly 400,000 parking tickets have been issued in Salt Lake City since 2019, which is double the population of Salt Lake City, which is 220,000.
So we do have a caller on the line. Actually, it's Lauren from Harriman. Hi, Lauren. Thanks for calling us.
Hey, good morning. So, I used to work downtown, and that City Creek stuff was very expensive. And when I go downtown now periodically, I think finding a spot and using their app, the city's app is really easy. And like Greg was saying earlier, well, then if I'm going to go overtime, I'm going to get a ticket anyway. On the app, you can update your payment so you can stay longer. So I don't see the problem. I mean, there is not another metropolitan city in the country, maybe even in the world, where you don't have to pay for parking. And it's a lot cheaper here than I've seen in other places.
Good point.
I don't see the problem.
Good point.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren.
Very good.
Look, we have 3 texters as well. One says it's another great reason to ride tracks. Another says the private parking is through the roof, like $40 for a basketball game. I'll take my chances at a parking ticket. Probably the same price or less if you get away with it once in a while. And then another one that said, I don't drive, but it's not just 3rd South that's the only problem. It's 3rd East, also between South Temple and 3rd South. Hard for my friend to find a place to park. Ended up stopping on a bicycle lane to help me walk up the stairs. Anyway, it's faster to walk around town than to drive.
So we've got KSL News Radio's Andy Cupp in studio with us. Andy, you and I each have one, and I want to hear yours first. Something that bugs you today.
Still has you fuming.
Yes. So 10 years ago, I parked in a parking lot that was one of those parking lots that was by license plate. And so you have parking lots where you pay per space, but there are a lot of lots, too, where you have to actually enter your license plate number into the little machine, and it will then just kind of track it based on that. The problem that I had one time is I had an out-of-state license plate that had a 0 on it. And the machine, I put in a 0, but the little machine that was on top of the little parking permit car that was going around read it as an O.
Oh, yeah.
And so said it wasn't.
And so, it said it wasn't. And so it gave me a ticket. And I remember being pretty upset about that because I was like, what on earth? And I had to go into the local police and argue with them that 0s do exist on some license plates.
And
they waived it. As I was walking out, another person walked in with the same exact problem, that their machine had some kind of a glitch that day and had read all of the 0s as O's and had ticketed all of these people incorrectly. Wow. But I had to actually go in because otherwise it was this notice of, well, if you pay it right now, then we'll knock the price off. But I said, no, I'm not going to pay this because I know for a fact that my license plate is a legitimate license plate, even if your machine doesn't read it as such. So I felt very vindicated, but still 10 years later to this day, I think about that often. Anytime I have to go into one of those lots where you enter in your license plate and I think, I better not do this again.
So I have some good news and bad news stories because I have had to appeal a couple. One was that the machine wasn't working and I got a ticket and I said, hey, I just wrote him a letter. This particular machine, 2834, on this date, time, and place was not working, and they wrote it off. Another one is I plugged in the wrong number. I was in 35, and I plugged in 34, and so I had kept my receipt. I said, look, I paid. I just wrote the wrong number, and they wrote that off. But here's my sad story. I go out to my car one day. I'm parked in the meter. Everything's fine. And I had run over a piece of glass. There was glass where I'd parked, and I had a flat tire.
Oh, wow.
So I jacked up the car. I'm putting on a tire, and I feel these feet right behind me, just very, very close. And it's the parking meter attendant reaching over me while I'm changing a tire to put a ticket on my front window. And I thought, how could you be
wild.
How could you be so cold? I'm literally changing a tire, and I guess it took me longer than because I'm not
you went
really good
over
at
time.
changing. Yeah, and so she reaches around me because I'm in the way of getting to my own windshield and gives me a ticket for expired meter while I'm changing a tire. I almost
you win.
I almost did something bad, but I didn't, and I paid that one because I was overtime.
Oh my gosh. I think I would have argued that one. I don't know. But we have more texts now. So one person says they've parked downtown 20 times and received 5 parking tickets since 2019. So simple math says 25% of the time I park, I get a ticket. So they say, here's the best part. I've never been upset because I take full responsibility for my actions. It's always been due to me going over and getting caught slipping. One time I even watched them ticket me and told them, good job, you got me again. Another person says, I got a parking ticket because my bumper was 6 inches over the parking spot white line. I parked like that because the car in front of me was taking up 3 feet of my parking spot. They told me I should have parked there and I should not have parked there and found another spot.
Andy, do you remember when the law in Utah used to be that you had to have a front plate on your car? And I remember parking sometimes because I never had a front plate on my car. And I thought, I'll get a ticket for that. I mean, I could pay all I want, but if the meter reader comes and sees that I don't have my front plate, I'm going to get that anyway. Nowadays, you don't have to have the front plate.
No, I knew people who would not put a front plate on their car and then back into a spot in the hopes that the machine wouldn't catch them. But almost always, they still ended up getting a ticket for some other reason.
How smart is that? Yeah.
So I don't really have a lot of parking ticket stories. So I have to go way back to when I was a teenage college student at BYU. This would have been more than 40 years ago. But I just ignored the parking tickets that I got on campus. I never paid them. And I think by the time I got the third one, I ended up with a boot on my car. I'm like, I don't even know what this thing is, right? So that was a good lesson to not ignore parking tickets. We do have another texter who says this many parking tickets indicates the current parking system's not meeting the needs of the public. But I have a towing story, though. So down in Provo, there was some predatory towing going on. And it's one of the things, in fact, the legislature, it got so much attention from the legislature that they actually passed a law about it. And I was down at an apartment complex, and the signage was a little bit confusing about what spot was reserved and what spot was for a visitor. So I was there to help deliver a baby as a midwife in the middle of the night. I came out after the baby was born. It was still early morning. My car was gone. It had been towed in the middle of the night. I thought I had parked in a spot that was set aside for visitors. I don't even know if that was true or not, but that was super annoying, that one.
You know, when I first started practicing law, Andy, the Salt Lake Legal Defenders Association was in a little building on 2nd East, and we shared the building with parking services. So half the building were the people that were reading the meters, and half were the public defenders.
Oh, gosh.
Two of the least popular people in Utah. But I actually got to know the parking enforcement people. They were the nicest people in the world, and it was a thankless job. I mean, nobody likes to see the meter reader coming up to their car and about to issue a ticket. And I see people running out. I'm trying to catch them before they get the ticket written, but generally they're just people trying to do their job.
We still have a minute or two. If anybody wants to call us, 801-575-TALK, tell us about your tickets. Or not tickets, I guess.
I'd say one of the issues that I have, and Greg, you mentioned this with one of your stories, is sometimes, especially if you're parallel parking, you'll see the little sign on the side of the road telling you which parking space you're in, but it is not always incredibly clear.
Yeah.
Especially and actually not even parallel parking. There's a section of downtown where I remember it was angled parking, but you were supposed to back into it. I forget, 2nd South maybe? I don't even know if it's still there anymore. But the little sign there at the end of the parking space would tell you which number you were in, but it was always like on the line between the spaces, and I always kind of ran the gamble of, well, I hope I'm putting in the right number because I'm not even sure if this is the right spot.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
And here's what happens when you have ADHD like me. I park in a spot, but by the time I get to the meter
to
pay it, I'm like, was it 24.32 or 23.42, and I don't want to walk back. I'll just make up a number and hope that I'm right.
I really like what one of your texters said earlier about the app, because I have used the app both in Salt Lake and in Park City, and that actually has been really nice because it will actually give you a warning when you're about 15 minutes away or so, telling you, hey, do you want to add more time or not? And so I always find that actually really helpful as well. So they're definitely good apps.
You're my app meister. So when we're done today, I'm going to have you help me find that app, Andy, so that I can re-up the ante while I'm in my 2-hour plus meetings.
That still is an issue though if it's a 2-hour limit, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the limits because the places that I've parked, I don't remember if there were limits, but it's hard sometimes to read the signs too because you'll have lots of different signs saying lots of different things, and you got to figure it out.
Thanks for joining us, Andy. When we come back after the break, the U.S. House has a vote scheduled today to release the Epstein files, but there could be a catch. The latest details on the vote and what could hinder the release of the files again after this break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Utah State Courts are condemning threats they say have been made towards court employees. This comes following a judge's ruling to reject a congressional map proposed by state lawmakers. The state courts called the threats unacceptable and dangerous and said in a statement they, quote, endanger not only the individuals targeted, but the functioning of the justice system itself. In the last 6 years, Salt Lake City has issued parking tickets, nearly double the amount of the population. There have been over 396,000 citations and warnings over those 6 years, KSL TV's reporting. 114,000 tickets for expired meters and 46,000 for parking longer than allowed.
When you see the numbers growing in certain areas like ADA citations or blocked driveways, it's because those are the most frequent things that are giving the community problems.
Salt Lake City Public Services Deputy Director J.P. Goetz says there are no quotas and ticketing is mainly a complaint-based system. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. If you've had trouble getting into your X account or listening to Spotify this morning, it's because a tech company has been dealing with a major outage.
Cloudflare provides network and security products to over 160,000 clients, including some of the world's best-known platforms. The company reports spotting what it calls a spike in unusual traffic in its network this morning and immediately went to work to fix the resulting outage. Cloudflare says it isn't sure of the source of the problem.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down over 450 points this morning to 46,134. Coming up, weather's a little bit better than we thought it would be yesterday, but we've still got some cooler temperatures coming. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a gnaw. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Does it matter?
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call Tow Cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plan start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Let's check in with Tito Nani.
No longer seeing any slowdowns on northbound I-15 between 90th South and the I-215 South interchange in Murray. That crash from earlier at the interchange looks to be all cleared up now. No slowdowns elsewhere to report on northbound I-15. On the other side of the freeway, southbound I-15 appears to be in great shape as well. No slowdowns as you make your way around the valley. And it looks like I-80 and I-215 are also traffic-free at this hour. Culligan Water, healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. Get rid of the hard, funky tasting water. Call Culligan today, 801-509-9602. Culligan Water, water you love. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, the warmest it's going to be over the next 7, but the high temperatures over the next 7 days aren't going to dip below the 50s. Today 57, tomorrow 56, Thursday a high of 53. Right now it's 52 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Coming up,
the all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we're learning, Holly, that this afternoon the House of Representatives is voting on a bill that would force the Justice Department to release all of the files they have on the Jeffrey Epstein case. It's called the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and it's drawn bipartisan support in the House. Of course, they needed 218 lawmakers to sign a petition that would force the vote, which meant that several Republicans had to cross over. They've done that, and it appears now that they've got the votes to bring that to the table, and it'll be voted on in the House just in a couple hours.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is both Speaker Mike Johnson and, of course, President Trump were doing a pretty hard campaign against releasing, even against taking the vote, but against releasing the files. And they both have done an about face. And so in a couple of hours, they'll start that process. It's not an immediate thing. But we have Cami Mondo on the line with us. She's Deseret News congressional correspondent. Always great to join us. Thanks, Cami.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we expect today from this initial vote?
Yes, so today what we are expecting is kind of what I think we would not expect if you had told us this a couple weeks ago, is that we do expect probably a near unanimous vote from Republicans and Democrats in the House today on this resolution to release the Epstein files, which, again, Republicans have been pushing against this for months, but now after Trump came out this weekend to basically just say, get this over with, now we're seeing pretty much everybody get on board.
And doesn't it seem, Cami, that it was one of those you might as well eat it? You're at that point now that maybe Trump did the right thing and said, look, fighting this isn't doing us any good. Johnson's had to come on board, and they did have the 218 votes, and so now we're hearing maybe it's going to be near unanimous. Let's just release it. It wasn't just a matter of it's coming down anyway. Let's join the let's join the party.
Absolutely. It's definitely the sense that we're getting, especially because with this petition process, when they got the 218 signatures, which was last Wednesday, it basically, with the timeline, it wouldn't have even come up for a vote until the beginning of December. But Speaker Johnson last week said, we're just going to put it up for a vote now. We might as well. And now we're seeing all of these Republicans change their support to vote in favor when it does come up later this afternoon.
So I have a couple of thoughts, and maybe you can tell me if I'm off base or not. But I think, for me, it seems like one of the reasons President Trump said just get it over with is because there started to be what looks like overwhelming support in the House. Thomas Massie went on a show on the weekend, I think, and said he thought he could have 100 Republicans voting in favor of this. And this was before the president said, okay, fine, just do it. I'm wondering if that's part of it, but I also wonder, Cami, if you have any thoughts about a potential catch, and that catch is if there's an open investigation, these files may not be released after all.
I think you have two very interesting points here. I think you're absolutely on the right track, is that I think, Trump came out Sunday to say, let's just vote on this, because there was an overwhelming sense we were going to see a lot of Republicans break from him anyway. So I do think he was just trying to get ahead of that and basically, always be on the winning side, and President Trump loves to do that. But I think you're absolutely correct that even if this does go to the Senate and Trump does sign it, there are a lot of legal things that the DOJ can do to say we can't release all of these for, reasons of protecting witnesses or victims. And so there are still a lot of ways that the Justice Department could not release all of the documents, even though Congress is telling them to. So I think we could see that eventually.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the Senate and then the president, because what we're talking about today is the House voting to release the files. But that's just one step in the process, right, Cammie? That there procedurally it then would go to the Senate, correct?
Yes, it's that sweet, slow Congress process, and something we might even see as well is, Speaker Johnson, a couple of Republicans, including Blake Moore of Utah, who I talked to yesterday, also hinted that maybe the Senate could make changes to the resolution. They don't agree with some of its language, again, around those concerns of protecting victims or witnesses. So there is a chance we could see the Senate try to make changes. I'm not sure if that would actually go through. We're seeing Thomas Massie, the main sponsor of this bill, say that they had their opportunity to make changes. Now it's too late for that, but that could be another thing that drags this out.
So, Cammie, I know that there have been a group of victims who have been on the Hill talking with lawmakers and holding press conferences. Does that weigh into this comment of, well, we need to protect the victims, when it's the victim saying we want this released? Plus, you can redact a name and not keep the whole file back.
Right. It is a very interesting split screen because you do have, top GOP leaders saying we want to protect victims, but you do have a lot of those victims who are coming out for the very first time right now saying that this is not about a political process. They trust, having their names redacted, and they just want justice for themselves and for other victims in there. So it is an interesting split screen, but you are seeing like an overwhelming number of these victims saying we need justice, we need to release these in full.
So one of the reasons that the files had not been released, among others, is that there was an ongoing investigation. The Department of Justice, just like law enforcement generally, can withhold releasing what would otherwise be public information if there's an ongoing investigation. Trump has called for an ongoing investigation with respect to Democrats who may have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you suppose that he or Republicans could use that as a basis for not releasing the files, even though the vote may come in heavily in favor of releasing them, if that makes any sense?
That could be, for sure, yeah, that could definitely be another hurdle that we see later on, after Trump does finally sign it, because there is that second investigation. You're absolutely correct. So that could be another thing where, the Justice Department just releases what they've already released and saying they can't go further than that. I'm sure if that does happen, we will see a lot of, backlash or criticism. Who knows what would happen after that, but I definitely do think that is another hurdle that they'll have to face.
So I want to ask you, we only have about a minute left, a little bit longer, but I want to ask you about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she has been consistent, I think, since the campaign season last time about wanting these files released. Then she got on the president's bad side, and she's been receiving attacks by the president. What are you making of the Marjorie Taylor Greene, President Donald Trump feud right now?
That was another interesting kind of quirk of this, is that, President Donald Trump did go after Marjorie Taylor Greene several times online, and then just ended up the next day, the next 2 days, end up saying, okay, let's vote for it anyway, which was at the center of their feud. So it is interesting if that's going to amend things or if that relationship's just broken from now on until forever. But that it was interesting that is what caused their little feud, and then now Trump is saying, well, let's just do it anyway.
Last question, Cammie. Do we know where the Utah congressional representatives are on this?
They've been a bit quiet about it. I assume that if it is a near unanimous vote, they all will vote in support of it. Blake Moore did have those concerns about some of the language in there, but maybe they are holding out that there could be changes made. But they will definitely be some people to watch when this goes to the floor.
Thank you so much for joining us again, Cammie. That's Cammie Mondo, congressional correspondent for the Deseret News. And look, I saw a KSL story that did get confirmation from Blake Moore that he is going to vote for this bill, but they had not heard back from the other members of the delegation. So when we come back, Utah voters actually have weighed in on what they think about the Epstein files. In a new poll, we're going to talk about that, but we also want to hear from you. If you care about this Epstein file issue, should the files be released, you can text us what you think at 57500.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
$1.5 trillion is parked on the sidelines. Projects that would help create good-paying American jobs are stuck in years of burdensome reviews. Permitting reform would unlock over 650 major U.S. infrastructure projects, from new roads and bridges to bringing more energy online. With faster, more efficient permitting, we can unleash America's economic potential. Let's move from waiting to building. Ready, set, let's build. Paid for by Business Roundtable.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done, because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
You make the holidays happen. School parties, shopping, wrapping gifts at midnight. The last thing you need to worry about? Dinner. With Beehive Meals, delicious frozen meals are delivered to your door, ready for your slow cooker. No chopping, no stress, no takeout guilt. Come home to the smell of dinner done, kids happy, and a kitchen that's not a disaster zone. Make this season easier and a lot more delicious. Order now at beehivemeals.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, They really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Inside Sources.
You know, it's almost ironic. We've been talking about the release of the Epstein files now for months, assuming that it's on the top of everybody's tongue. But it turns out that, according to a poll that was taken fairly recently, that maybe it's not as big of an issue for a lot of Utahns and a lot of Americans as we may have thought, as we're leading up to this vote that the House is going to have in a couple of hours.
I know. It's interesting to me, too, because I'm a political nerd and follow these stories. And so, yeah, like you, it's like, well, this is a story that hasn't gone away and everybody must care. But we're talking about a new Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll about the Epstein files and how closely Utahns are following them. And interestingly, the Utah trends are close to the national average. And that means that more than 50%, both nationally and Utah, they're not really following it at all.
I know. Who are these? Who are Holly and Greg that they sort of follow these things? Yeah. Nationally, 53% are either slightly or not at all interested in following the case. In Utah, 56% slightly or not at all interested. I mean, it's not as big a deal as a lot of people have made it, or as some of us thought. Only 18% nationally are following it closely. That's less than 1 in 5, and Utah's numbers are almost identical, 17%.
And it's maybe not that they don't care. Maybe they don't care, or maybe it's just not risen to the top of why they should care, right? So, yeah, it is interesting, I think, and you've got about 30% nationally that are following it somewhat closely, and 27% in Utah following it somewhat closely. So we've had a couple of texters, and some of them are saying things like, basically, if President Trump has been so resistant to releasing the files, what's he trying to hide? And another texter is like, well, all of a sudden there's all these Republicans who are going to vote for it, but they had to get permission from the president first.
Yeah, yep, and both of those are correct. And I think that what's going to happen is this, that the 56% that are not that interested in are going to win out, because my guess is this: the files get released, there's a little bit of a flurry, his name's on this, whose name's on this, they're going to go through some political figures, some people, and then a week from now we'll be talking about
I don't think so.
I don't know. I just think it's going to blow over because it's had so much fanfare. I mean, what's going to be there? We kind of know what's there, I think.
I think we do kind of know. I think we will have additional knowledge. I think we'll know more people who are in there. I don't think it's going to be in a week, though, by the way. It's going to take a longer process than that for them to actually release the files. And then we'll have a series of news stories. And then I think we'll have to see if there's any fallout, right? And I think there should be.
Oh, yes. I mean, there has to be. And you look at the victims. And by the way, there's some people that are interested in, or at least weighing in on whether or not the names of the victims should be redacted from the reports. It seems that the victims themselves are saying, we're not requesting that. Maybe they've been outed already anyway.
So I think we need to assume, I need to assume that the victims who have been on Capitol Hill and who have been public in Virginia, I think it's Gofre, who wrote basically an autobiography about her abuse under the hands of Epstein, and she also claims Prince Andrew and others, that's not all of the victims, right? That's not everybody whose name is going to be in the files as a victim. There's, I think, probably a lot more. We do have a texter who said they'd love to see the Epstein files, right? I think there's so much. I mean, some of the stuff that I've been seeing is that they've got thousands of hours of video as part of this, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to pour through. And in fact, if you remember, I think it was Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, who said, we can't release the video because it's child pornography. Yeah. And I think that's kind of telling, right? I mean, that's one of the points. So one of the victims that's going on Capitol Hill right now is holding a sign that's saying, like, I was 14. And that's the issue, right? That's one of the issues, is saying that they were trafficking minors. And Megyn Kelly has continued to dig herself on a hole by saying last week that Epstein was not a pedophile because he liked young teenagers like around 14 or 15, not 5-year-olds. And then dug in again today and said, well, he liked the ones that were barely legal. It's like, first of all, that's just gross, but I don't know that you're helping his case, right? And, of course, Epstein is not really a case anymore since he's dead. But
here's ABC's Brad Mielke, who has a breakdown on the latest with this, and just kind of give us a little reminder, a little shot to tell us how we got to where we are today.
For the past 4.5 months, this town has been consumed by the fact that the Justice Department has been refusing to release all of the material it holds regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Now, for years, the notion that the Justice Department has been sitting on evidence, possibly implicating others, has been the subject of conspiracy theories, many of them propagated by the men and women who would go on to take jobs in the Trump administration. Just listen to what Dan Bongino said on his podcast before he became deputy director of the FBI.
You should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
But last July, in an unsigned memo, the DOJ and FBI claimed it, quote, labored to provide the public with maximum information regarding Epstein. They determined that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. The uproar and response was bipartisan.
Option 1, they lied for years. Option 2, they're engaging in a cover-up.
I think you're going to have to do more to satisfy the American people's understandable curiosity in that regard.
Further inflaming tensions, the number 2 at the Justice Department met with Epstein's former companion, convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell.
The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman.
She was then moved from a low-security prison to a prison camp. And despite all the efforts of GOP leaders and the president to push back against it, the House is expected to vote today on a bill that would force the release of the Epstein files.
And this case, Holly, has had so many twists and turns, and Jeffrey Epstein dies in jail under somewhat mysterious circumstances, although there doesn't seem to have been any finding of foul play. But suddenly, this otherwise healthy middle-aged man is dead in his jail cell.
There are a lot of people who didn't want these files, who have changed their mind, right? Who used to want the files released, and they would say things like, he did not suicide himself, right? And now all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, he did, I guess. Look, we have a couple of other texters too, and one asks this question, which I think is a reasonable question. Could the dragging on of the Epstein files release be a ploy to get the American public to not care about now what is an old news issue? And I think absolutely that could be.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about earlier. That's brilliant, actually, because at some point maybe we don't care anymore.
Right? You get fatigue, right? Another one says it's pretty clear that there are big names on the report. We already know some of them. Bill Clinton is in there. We know Bill Gates is in there. In fact, who is the Treasury Secretary that just announced that he wasn't going to be former Treasury Secretary, right? Oh, I'm going to have to look it up. Give me 1 second.
Former Prince, too.
Yeah.
Some people realize that it's coming down the tracks and their name's going to be out there, and so why even have to face the music?
Larry Summers.
Yeah.
Anyway, the rest of that text says, unfortunately, it's been shown since at least the 90s that many voters don't care as long as it's their candidate who wins the election, and I think there's truth in that as well.
This whole Epstein thing, I mean, the Epstein Island or whatever, it just is, to me, even having my experience as a sex crime prosecutor, as a sex crime defense attorney, as a representative of victims, this whole thing is just creepy to me.
It's so creepy.
That these rich men hook up with this guy, and he has this place where you can go and meet with young females, and how anybody thought
that's gross
they were going to get away with that. How anybody thought that we would be, they'd go through the rest of their lives and no one would care.
Well, I will tell you why,
naive.
because they have had the money to make these stories go away, to stay buried, right? And to make him go away and just keep him suppressed and figure that, maybe in 100 years, if something happens, they'll be long gone and it won't matter. But I think the idea is that money can can buy you access to anything, including other human beings.
Yeah, and it's sad for the victims. We've heard a lot from them and what they've been through. We'll hear more, obviously. Yesterday I spent the entire day driving around the state. I had court in Junction, Utah. If you haven't been in Paiute County,
I've been to Paiute County.
It's a beautiful court. Everything went really well. But I spent a lot of time listening to the radio, and it turns out listening to music, which I did because there's only so much you can listen to out there, has some benefits. We'll talk about what those could be when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The late start for the ski season is leaving seasonal workers waiting, many without pay. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Seasonal workers generally finish their summer employment and are available for the ski season by November. And when the resorts don't open when originally planned, it can leave workers in limbo, says Mountain Village Vice President for the Park City Professional Ski Patrol, Sydney Heyer.
Our winter employer wants us to be free, but if we're not really working, then how do we maintain our finances?
She says it can be especially difficult for any coming from out of state. Many turn to short-term work like dog walking or nannying. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Department of Homeland Security is moving its immigration blitz to a different area of North Carolina, days after arresting over 100 people.
As ICE agents fanned out across Charlotte searching for and arresting people on immigration charges, they were met with protests. With DHS now shifting its focus to Raleigh, North Carolina's Democratic Governor Josh Stein appealed to his constituents.
Please stay peaceful. And if you see something wrong, record it and report it to local law enforcement.
North Carolina Republicans say they support the immigration crackdown. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow taking a big hit today, down 643 points to 45,947. Coming up, KSL weather's improved a little bit over the next couple of days. We'll tell you if there's any rain chances when we check weather next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah, and young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. Make your voice heard right now. Log on to demandmoresupply.com. demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep families close.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. With another check of the roads, here's Tito Nani.
No issues to report on. Things are looking great at this hour with absolutely no delays as you make your way north or southbound on I-15 throughout the valley. It also appears that I-80 is trouble-free going in both directions, and the exact same can be said for I-215 and the 21st South Freeway. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, looking for a high of 57 degrees, but it won't get that warm all the way through next week. 56 the high tomorrow, but then dipping down to the low 50s Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Chance of rain also late tomorrow night into Thursday and Friday as well. Right now, 52 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'm picking up vibrations.
You know, we all have our love of music. Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. New research is showing that regularly listening to music, even the Beach Boys, can be good for brain health and can actually potentially reduce the risk of cognitive decline.
So it's interesting to me. It's also not super surprising. We have Lois Collins with us. Hi, Lois.
Hi, how are you?
She's a reporter with the Deseret News and wrote this article about a new study that shows, I think it's a significant amount of preventing cognitive decline or preventing dementia. Talk to us about that.
I would agree with you that it's significant. The study came out of Australia. It involved 11,000 adults that they followed over some time, and they did a survey to see what their music habits were, but they were also looking at other things. They were just trying to find the things that you and I can do lifestyle-wise that have an impact on health in different ways. And one that really jumped out to them was the impact of music on neurocognitive decline, including Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. And what they found is that people over 70, this was a look at older adults, people over 70 who listen to music a lot have a much lower, 39% lower chance of developing cognitive decline, which I think is significant too.
Yeah, nearly 40% is huge.
Oh, that's huge. I mean, it not necessarily surprising, Lois, because you do think of it as soothing and whatnot. But I mean, let me ask you this: does it matter the kind of music?
No, well, they did not actually determine what kind of music was best. What they found that people got the most pleasure out of was listening to the music that you loved in your 20s, in your teen years.
Right.
So
yes.
You with the Beach Boys,
right.
Me with the Eagles.
Right.
Yes. A little overlap.
Right. Yes.
But the main thing is music, and music is good in so many ways. There are a lot of studies involving music and mental decline. In people who have dementia, music is a real tool to calm them down, to bring them back a little bit to memory. Music is tied into places and times for all of us. And so they use music as a tool with people who are in memory units to bring them back. Christmas music is great for people this time of year. It's an important thing. The other thing is playing music. They tell you don't get quite the same effect as listening to music. It's a tiny bit lower, but it may be because fewer people play music than listen to music. But they say that if you want to keep sharp when you're older, you know, I'm in my 60s, I want to maintain as long as I can because I do have Alzheimer's in my family. They say learn a language or learn a musical instrument.
That's interesting. And you mentioned something that I already had a question about, and that was people who have already experienced memory loss. So I think I've mentioned on this show before, but my mother-in-law passed away in the spring, and we were back in Kansas to say goodbye to her, and we were singing to her, and that was a moment where she became cognitively aware of the people, you know, and her family in the room, and it was something that was like really touching. We were just singing simple children's songs.
It is so well documented that music has this impact on the brain, and music, learning music, playing music, learning the words to songs, playing things, the repetition, the emotion, it builds connections in the brain. So you really can't go wrong with it. I have music that I like more than others. I have a hard time thinking that heavy metal is going to save me, but that's a personal preference.
So do we expect that medical providers would take this into account, and maybe if you ran a center that were helping people with dementia or Alzheimer's or something, that you would incorporate music more into what's happening and what the people are.
They already do. There have been so many studies. This is new in that it shows that even when you're older, if you listen to music, you get a benefit. But it's already used as a tool to calm people down, to soothe. The warning that comes with that is when you decide to play music for your mother-in-law or your dad who is struggling with dementia, you want to watch the reaction and make sure it's music he likes and that it doesn't trigger a bad memory.
Yeah, right. We
so
all have those
you
too,
have
right.
to pay attention to that kind of thing too. But music is already a really valid tool. And, you know, the day that my mother died in a memory unit, it was the first time that a woman came in and had a harp with her and was playing the harp for my mom. And I think it was so soothing. It was so perfect. Music matters.
So we have a couple of texters, and one says 80s music is definitely the best for cognitive health. And another one says, and they said, haha, right? But I guess if I need to listen to music to keep my brain sharp, I'm going to have to quit listening to KSL News Radio.
No, we play a little music in
there
between.
are other things you also do to keep your brain sharp. And you can't listen to music all the time, so space it out.
Yeah. I do have this question about, my understanding is music memories, I guess is the way to say it, are stored in the brain in different areas, right?
That is exactly right. They are, and they're the last place to go before the automatic functions like breathing.
Oh, wow.
So it's really interesting that music stays for a long time. And my mom had no clue who I was, but she could still play every song she ever learned on the piano or the violin.
That is exactly my own experience. Lois, my mother was in hospice, and they had a piano. They had just had an upright piano there, and she would go and play the most beautiful music you could imagine. And even the people there, you could tell that even though she was getting a tremendous amount out of it, but even the people that were there it would be quiet. People would listen. People would sit back and enjoy the music while it was being played. It was magical to watch her play, and just to watch her, how she reacted when she was sitting on a piano bench and the white and black keys were in front of her and she started going. It was really something else.
So Lois, I think we may have talked to you before about using music as a pain reliever, a form of pain relief.
There are some studies that indicate that music can be very helpful with that. For one thing, when we're in pain, we tense up.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to kind of shift, and you know this.
Yes.
Tend to kind of shift around and offload pain, and we create pain in other places as well. But music just sort of, if it's music you like, it's your music, then you sort of relax and unwind, and it's good for you.
So is there a big takeaway for those of us in our 60s?
Just pay attention and do the things that you can do. And we don't know how any of us are going to progress down the road. So why not do everything you can to make sure you do well?
Thanks, Lois. You know, none of this surprises me at all, Holly. I mean, I when I read the headline to Lois's article, I thought, you know, I think music is therapeutic. I mean, and when she articulated why, like you think about some song that was big, like the high school prom song.
Yeah, sure.
You know, ours was "Color My World" by Chicago. You know, you would listen to something like that. 50 years
Right.
later, and maybe you would start just taking that in and remind you of the good old days, or you
Yeah,
know what
for
I mean?
me it was the Carpenters and Air Supply, which they're still around. Which is like
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, it's so funny. Hotel California, that's another one I remember. Right?
yeah.
It's just funny. The other thing with Christmas music, you mentioned that, Lois. I feel like I've got a giant repertoire of Christmas music in my brain where I can sing the words to many, many Christmas songs. And my kids are always like, how do you know all those words? I'm like, well, I don't know. 60 years of singing them, I
Been a
guess.
while. Yep.
All right. So one says that's why Jeff Kaplan plays music. All right. Thanks again for joining us, Lois. You're really awesome. So do you remember U.S. Senator Jake Garn?
I do.
I do too. From space missions to political milestones, his name is in Utah history, but we also have a team of Utahns specifically working to preserve his legacy. He would have turned 93 years old if he were still alive, but we'll talk about him when we come back after the break.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Western Nut Company is here to make your gifting a breeze. From our beautiful gift baskets and nut boxes to our famous in-house fudge and brittle, we've got treats for every taste bud, crafted with the highest quality ingredients. Corporate gifting, that's our specialty. Just send us your list and we'll handle the rest. Beautifully packed, shipped with care, and guaranteed to impress. Calling all office managers or executive assistants. Call Western Nut now and let us make your holidays a little less nuts. But we actually do want you to eat more nuts. For 60 years, Western Nut has been a proud Utah tradition. Stop by our downtown shop for unique gifts, glittering ornaments, festive decor, and so much more. Western Nut Company, more than just the best gifts in Utah. We're a holiday tradition, in-store or online at westernut.com, where quality meets tradition, and every gift is packed with love.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Join KSL Radio's Amanda Dixon this Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 5 at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road, npsstore.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details. You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Help elevate your company's pride with workplace tips from Cintas. The right workwear helps your team look and perform their best. Cintas has work apparel for almost any job imaginable. Your team gets garments that are breathable, comfortable, and hold up to any job. Cintas even handles laundry and delivery every week with no upfront investment. It's all part of Apparel Plus from Cintas. Learn more at Cintas.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
And expanded Inside Sources.
A pillar of our community, Jake Garn, turned 93 a few weeks ago, and speaking of 93, it's been since 93 since he's been in office, but he did serve as, some people don't remember this, he was actually Salt Lake City's mayor from 72 to 74, and you pointed out an interesting fact that he was the last Republican mayor, even though it's nonpartisan, elected mayor of Salt Lake City. He was Salt Lake mayor from 72 to 74. Then he served in the Senate for 3 terms from 74 to 93. Of course, he also was famous for flying in space.
Yeah, and I remember that story, and that was 1985. But what I remember from it is that he was throwing up in space, and that was part of the deal, right? Is they wanted to see how, quote unquote, a regular person would handle being in space.
So a group of former staffers and friends has formed a legacy team to document his life and contributions. And we all have memories of Jake Garn. That one. That you just mentioned, not particularly.
Right.
But
he's probably not delighted with that.
He was a tall, lanky, good-looking, very, very smart man. He was fun to listen to, and he served very honorably. I think he was a very popular U.S. senator in the way that a lot of Utahns have been, in that he was popular with both sides of the aisle. He really was a gentleman in every way.
So one of the things that's interesting about former Senator Garn is that when he was elected to the U.S. Senate, he followed a Senator Bennett, Wallace F. Bennett, and then the person who followed him was Bob Bennett, his son. So he was sandwiched in between father and son, who served in the U.S. Senate for the state of Utah.
We are learning that former Senator Garn does have some dementia. He still lives at home, where he's taken care of by his daughter Ellen, and by all accounts, he's in very good physical condition. Of course, he always took care of himself that way. But people are remembering him, what he did as Salt Lake mayor, senator, tireless work on the Central Utah Project. So we all have plenty to drink, and he did 108 orbits around the Earth. 108 laps.
That sounds like a lot.
That's probably puts him in some record book. And he wasn't a kid at the time. I don't remember how old he was. Maybe if one of our listeners can remind us, but he was...
Well, it would have been 85, so subtract, 50 years.
Yeah, so he was... That's right, it was 1985. So, yeah, I mean, he
43?
was... 43? Yeah, he was born in...
Somewhere around there.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so...
he was also in the military. That's right, he flew combat missions.
He was in the Navy, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we have this group of friends and former staffers who they originally got together to rename the Salt Lake City Airport. They wanted to do it, in fact, this was Scott Howell, who's a friend of our show, and they wanted to name the Salt Lake City Airport the Jake Garn International Airport. This was in 2019, and not long after Scott Howell announced that they wanted to do this, he started to hear from other staffers and supporters who wanted to be involved. So they have a club, the Jake Garn, Legacy Club. And while that effort was not successful, they're continuing to work together. So they're trying to put together memories of what he did for Salt Lake City, what he did as a mayor, what he did as a senator, what he did on the Central Utah Project, which is a water project, right? All of those things, so that they can have this memory, these memories saved for when he's no longer with us.
And I think that there was, if I recall, he was involved in some committee when he was in the Senate that dealt with space exploration. he was assigned to NASA, and so some people thought it was a little bit gimmicky that they made him an astronaut. But he had been a pilot. He had been a Navy pilot. He'd served, so it's not like he was not accustomed to many G's, pushing against him. Even though he got sick in space, he was not a kid again. But he was probably fit as half the astronauts that we have, even though he was a little bit older than most of them.
So he started asking actually about going on a space shuttle in 1981, and he eventually went up in 85. But he did ask, and he said he called it a fact-finding mission. And he said, I do really think it's a necessity that congressmen check out things that they vote for and make certain that funds are being spent adequately. It might be necessary to have a senator kick the tire, he said.
And he certainly did that. Yeah, he turned 93 a few weeks ago. I mean, I just remember just watching him and just thinking how well he presented in everything that he did.
Look, so I'm looking at some additional stuff. So I told you I remember the story about him vomiting in space, and this is the space sickness that he experienced was so severe that they created a scale. It was a joke, but where 1 Garn is the highest possible level of space sickness.
A Garn.
This is from the Johnson Space Center Oral History Project. So he was so sick while he was up there. So anyway.
Well, I hope that the idea of the Salt Lake International Airport, especially with everything that's going on right now with the airport and all the improvements and whatnot, that they do revisit that idea of attaching his name to it, because I can't think of other things in our community where Jake Garn's name is pronounced, is attached to something. And I'm sure there is. I'm sure I'm missing something somewhere.
So they do have a new greeting room called the Jake Garn Greeting Room
in the
airport.
Okay,
yeah.
well, that makes a lot of sense.
It's the Jake Garn Legacy Team. I forgot the full name. So we do have a texter that reminds us that he was also on the board for the Clark Planetarium, right? So that's good. And this is from a texter who says, I wrote him a letter, meaning Jake Garn, when I was about 11 about being on the space shuttle, and he wrote back. He and this texter says, I was always interested in flying, and space is the epitome. So Jake Garn replied to a letter for an 11-year-old. It's great.
Yeah, and again, he flew combat missions in Korea. You said for the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what he flew, but orbited the Earth 108 times. Spent almost a week in space. I guess 108 laps around the world you can't do in a day. In a space shuttle in 1985. As a senator astronaut, I remember watching him in the astronaut suit getting on the ship at the time and thinking, "Oh, this poor guy."
My connection to Senator Garn's office had to do with international adoptions, and if I remember, he was in office when all the Romanian adoptions were happening. That would have been like 91, and his office was just so helpful at trying to navigate international adoption when nobody really knew what was happening. so he was just super supportive.
Yeah, so there is the Jake Garn Foundation. They've raised about $200,000 for this project, even though they didn't change the name of the airport, but they've raised money for other things that he was, like I think you said, he was involved in the water situation. And
the Central Utah Water Project, yeah.
Which was a huge thing because he was the kind of person that even when he left political office would stay involved in the community and stay involved in trying to make Utah a better place, and he certainly did that.
Yeah, he was also active in the League of Cities and Towns, and we've talked about that recently. He was the first vice president of the National League. And he was elected to the Senate in 1974, and he served almost 10 years. He served until the beginning of 93.
Yeah, he served a couple of terms in the Senate. So if you want to learn more about Jake Garn, there is a JakeGarnLegacy.com, a website that his family and this group has set up, the Jake Garn Legacy team at JakeGarnLegacy.com if you want to learn more about and read more about Jake Garn, a huge figure in our community. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about this is an interesting thing, but our governor is sort of expanding. We're talking about Utah becoming more of a place for energy, and we're talking about a nuclear facility, and of all places, I won't spoil it, but it's in northern Utah, not a town you necessarily associate with nuclear energy, but it's coming to a city near you. Of course, we talked a little while ago about the big center that's coming down for artificial intelligence in Millard County.
Yeah.
That is going to be huge. There's so much going on in Utah right now. Our governor's excited. He's trying to get the
Operation
rest of the state.
Gigawatt.
Right, yes. Get others excited. And nuclear energy coming to Utah. We'll talk about that when we come back.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The 2026 Kilby Block Party lineup has been announced.
Let's hear it for the band of the year.
Headliners Lorde, the XX, and Turnstile. Other guests in the lineup include Hayley Williams, Modest Mouse, Lucy Dacus, Japanese Breakfast, and Alex G. The 3-day festival is scheduled for May 15th through the 17th. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia today. KBC's Karen Travers is at the White House with more.
This is the first time the Crown Prince has been in the United States since 2018. That visit came just months before the death of Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist and Saudi critic. And of course, U.S. intelligence assessed that that killing was at the direction of the Saudi Crown Prince. He says that he did not order it, but later took responsibility for it as effectively the head of the government there. But it is certainly something that has shrouded over the U.S.-Saudi relationship for the last 7 years.
The Crown Prince was greeted with a military band, military detail on horses, cannons, and a flyover. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 306 points. The S&P is down 16 points. And coming up, southern Utah storms. KSL weather is next. KSL News time 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a gnaw. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call Tow Cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
A stiff chair makes you sit. An X chair lets you float. Upgrade to an X chair, engineered for better posture and focus. The secret? Patented lumbar support that adjusts instantly. SiFloat Infinite Recline that moves effortlessly with you. X-Chair is next-level ergonomic seating that truly floats. Right now, you can save up to 50% with the X-Chair Holiday Sale. Supplies are limited, so visit xchair.com today for up to 50% off. That's xchair.com.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question.
If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Attention, Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at UtahJazz.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Tito Nani.
No delays or slowdowns going either direction on I-15 as you make your way throughout the valley. We do have an accident. It's on I-84. It's north of Tremont in Box Elder County. It really doesn't seem to be causing that many issues. Other than this, all secondary freeways from around the valley look to be in great shape. Culligan Water, healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. Get rid of the hard, funky tasting water. Call Culligan today, 801-509-9602. Culligan Water, water you love. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 57 with cloudy skies today. There's chances for a storm up here in the Salt Lake Valley tomorrow. It's raining down in southern Utah today. That will continue overnight and into tomorrow. Right now, 54 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit House Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We're learning from a recent announcement that Utah Governor Spencer Cox and other officials are announcing plans for a nuclear energy facility right here in Utah in the Brigham City area. Holly, this would involve 4 to 10 of those small modular reactors, are called SMRs, and they're sort of the future of nuclear reactors. They're big enough to power a city, but they're not like the old reactors that took up.
I think the small ones are not that large, but maybe we can find out from our guest. It's Scott Cuthbertson. He's the founder and CEO of Alpin Associates and a co-managing partner with Nuclear Nexus Capital, and he was very excited about yesterday's announcement. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Hey, it's good to be on with you, Holly and Greg.
Can you just tell us a little bit about these small reactors and really how big this announcement was yesterday?
Happy to do that. Well, this is not our grandparents' nuclear power. I'll put it that way. These small modular reactors, they are, as the name implies, they're smaller. They fit on a site of about 50 acres. The actual facility probably occupies 10 of those acres, and they can produce 300 megawatts of power. And to put that in context, that's enough to power about 250,000 homes, although they certainly would be built to supply industrial uses or residential as well.
So talk to us about the sort of the physics of this. Well, I guess that's not the right word, but what's happening with nuclear power that's gotten us to the point, Scott, that we're now setting up things like this? Because we've been hearing about it for a while. None of them are up and running, at least in Utah. But what's happened with that technology that's allowed these smaller reactors to become so popular?
Sure. Well, if you look at the history of nuclear power, there was the golden era back in the 50s through the 70s. We were building many of these larger plants across the country, and we actually have 94 large-scale reactors operating in the U.S. today. But what happened was, over time, stricter requirements, regulations in terms of being able to build these fast enough constrained supply, but also the cost of them was really hard to bear. And the most recent large-scale plant that was built in the U.S. took place in Georgia area, and it came in massively over budget, took much longer than was expected. And so the industry realized you have to pivot. You've got to make these things easier to build, more cost-effective to build, faster to build, and so that's why they've gone to this modular approach.
So, Scott, one time when I was talking about this on the show, I called it backpack nuclear. It's like, because I knew they were small. It's not quite that small, but give us a timeline. What does this look like? Because I know regulation is just the thing that really seems to stymie these efforts from moving forward.
Sure, and we welcome the regulation of these projects. Certainly, I mean, this nuclear power is it's a serious business, although it has a very safe history and track record. If you look at it statistically, you definitely want scrutiny on these projects. So for this timeline, first of all, we have to recognize we have no nuclear industry in Utah today. Those 94 plants I mentioned, none here in Utah. We don't have a workforce for nuclear power here. So you've got to put all these pieces together, and that's why the announcement yesterday was, in my opinion, really visionary and brilliant. There's been a lot of work going into it for years now, in moving a company who has the workforce, is the leader in the nuclear services field, coming to Utah, bringing hundreds of their employees, and also setting up a plan to work with our universities, to work with our technical colleges, to create a talent pipeline that can actually operate these reactors. So this vision has the workforce, it's got the location for the first reactor site in Brigham City, and it has the partnership with the manufacturer of the nuclear reactor, the SMR, in Holtec International. And so it's really a holistic and realistic vision to build out this ecosystem in Utah, which will not only give us a great power source of clean, proven, reliable power, but also create not just jobs, but professions for thousands of Utahns, our next generation of Utahns who can come and have a great career in this industry.
And Scott, what we're talking about is several of these facilities being built in the same area. Is that correct? I think it said something like
that's correct, Greg, and that's right. And the number that we're targeting is going to be 10 to 12 over time, and that's not just in Brigham City. We'll start there. There'll be a campus of these, along with the training facility. So you'll have that kind of node in northern Utah. But the plan is to expand these across the state, where we have other workforce needs. We have economic needs, folks who desire great jobs, who also need power, and then from there spread in through the Intermountain West more broadly.
So, Scott, why start in Brigham City? Why there?
Brigham City has a track record of really getting things done. They saw that, hey, they need great jobs, they need more power, and they've been building and really accomplishing great things in that area for a long time. You look back at the rocket industry and what they've been able to do there. So they've got a hungry workforce. They have a desire to really make a difference, and they were very open from the outset. They saw the potential for the need for more energy in the state, and the potential there in Brigham City with their great workforce to really make this happen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
And you have to give credit to Mayor Bott there, and also the folks at MIDA, the Military Installation Development Authority, who partnered on this, and certainly state leaders as well, for really launching the vision and embracing this.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I was going to ask you about the reception that you're getting from the Brigham City and Box Elder County community, but it seems like the leadership there is on board with this, and you do have a lot of support.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've embraced it. I think, this is a historic moment, not just for Brigham City, Box Elder County, but for all of Utah, that we should rightfully be celebrating, embracing. It's a process there. It'll take a number of years, but the workforce training effort, it starts immediately. The design of the SMR, the licensing of it is in process. So you look 5-6 years out, and we anticipate to have operating reactors there, and that'll be the start of great things to come for Utah in energy.
Scott, I saw an article in the Deseret News that specifically mentioned veterans as part of the workforce. Could you speak really briefly to that?
Certainly. This is an industry that's really ripe for allowing our veterans to come in and make a real impact. We had some Medal of Honor recipients at the ceremony yesterday, and they talked about how enthusiastic they were that we're providing those who go out and fight for our nation and sacrifice an opportunity to come home and transition into a great, meaningful career where they can put that experience of discipline, of sacrifice and hard work to use right here in Utah. And it's, again, these aren't just temporary jobs. These are careers. It's a profession. It provides these veterans an opportunity for a sense of dignity and a real pathway to thrive once they're out of the service. And so the plan is to bring in the future up to 1,000 or more jobs for veterans as part of this program.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Scott Cuthbertson, founder and CEO of Alpin Associates and co-managing partner of Nuclear Nexus Capital. When we come back, we're going to talk about the visit in the White House right now with Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who's at the White House. He was kind of persona non grata for quite a while, and we'll talk about the reasons why when we come back.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
When I asked Scott Lucky if his last name had anything to do with his success in the trucking industry, he laughed and said, "Well, Mike, I guess you could say I've always been lucky." But when I asked him how he and his family grew Lucky Distribution Services into the company it is today, he didn't talk about luck at all. "We work hard," he said. "We keep a close eye on the bottom line, and we treat our people the right way." In other words, Scott Lucky makes his own luck, which is precisely why he switched to Pure Talk Business. "Last month, I paid the big guys $740 for 12 lines," he told me. "This month, I paid Pure Talk $420 for the exact same service." Thousands of businesses all over the country are saving real money by switching to America's most dependable 5G network, and luck has nothing to do with it. Just dial pound 250 and say micro. That's pound 250 micro to switch to a wireless company that works as hard as you do. Pure Talk.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Blake Moore is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. Call Congressman Blake Moore at 202-225-0453 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Think of a time when life knocked the wind out of you, turned you completely upside down. Now, imagine if no one showed up. That's the reality for too many in Utah. Every day, people battle mental health challenges, addiction, and homelessness, often in silence, often feeling invisible. At Volunteers of America Utah, we show up with recovery support, counseling, youth programs, shelter, and people who simply refuse to give up on others. A safe bed, a warm meal, a conversation that says you belong. When you give, you're not just donating. You're reminding someone they are seen, valued, and worthy of a future. Because when you help someone feel human again, you transform the whole community. Be the reason someone finds hope today. Visit voaut.org.
When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So President Trump is currently meeting with Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, at the White House. The Crown Prince arrived with a lot of fanfare, military band. He seemed to be welcomed with open arms by President Trump. He's there to purchase, or at least to ask to purchase, some fighter jets. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House with more on the focus of their meeting.
The $600 billion investment commitment that the Saudis made to the president back in May, they want to lock down the details of that. So we will see if we hear more about what exactly the Saudis are going to do and what that will look like in terms of investment in artificial intelligence. The president is also going to be pushing the Saudis to normalize relations with Israel. This is the first time the Crown Prince has been in the United States since 2018. That visit came just months before the death of Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist and Saudi critic. And of course, U.S. intelligence assessed that that killing was at the direction of the Saudi Crown Prince. He says that he did not order it, but later took responsibility for it as effectively the head of the government there. But it is certainly something that has shrouded over the U.S.-Saudi relationship for the last 7 years.
That killing was particularly brutal. If you remember the story from that, there were screams that were heard. He was killed. He was dismembered. It was really, really gross.
Right, and it's something that still lingers over the conversations between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Of course, Donald Trump seems to be, moved on from that. He's greeted the Crown Prince with open arms, like I said. They also talked about, and this is something Karen didn't just mention, the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. And those have got to be incredibly expensive too. I don't know, except just generally that you want fighter jets, but I don't know that Saudi Arabia is lining up for anything or has any neighbors that they're particularly worried about. But maybe having that strength on their side keeps their neighbors at bay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Trump also suggested, President Trump suggested selling to Turkey, the country of Turkey. That's a NATO ally. But they were removed from the program because they purchased some Russian air defense systems back in 2020. So he's talking about reopening a sales corridor to Turkey.
Yeah, and I didn't realize also that there was a huge project in regard to artificial intelligence. Of course, that makes a lot of sense that they would do that. The meeting's actually going now. We're seeing them really getting along, sort of giving each other noogies and talking back and forth, and it seems to be a very cordial meeting. It appeared to be fairly well orchestrated that the Crown Prince would come here, talk business, and including technology, artificial intelligence, and American F-35 fighter jets.
So back to Jamal Khashoggi. So he was a Washington Post columnist, and so I wanted to look and see what the Washington Post has to say about that. And 23 minutes ago, they posted a story that is headlined, "Trump defends Saudi Crown Prince over Khashoggi killing." And he just said, President Trump said, quote, "Things happen. Things happen."
Yeah, ouch.
And then he was not holding the Saudi leader responsible for the 2018 murder, despite a U.S. intelligence report assessing that he, in fact, was responsible.
Right, and Trump hasn't been particularly friendly toward talking about Khashoggi either. It said he was a troubled man, or I forget the words that he used, but there was a quote that he said just a few minutes ago in describing that situation. And I thought that American intelligence put the put that murder quite squarely on the Saudi family.
They did, and this is a quote from the reporter's question just today. A lot of people, this is a quote, a lot of people did not like that gentleman that you're talking about, and that means Khashoggi. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But Mohammed, the prince, crown prince, knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Yeah, and it's old news, but of course it's not the kind of thing that just disappears. And I remember that situation as well. I mean, he's literally walking into at what he thought was a meeting and
at an embassy.
Yeah, never walked out.
Yeah,
and then the more we learned about it, the more graphic it became. The more, I mean, it was a slaughter. It was a terrible thing. No matter who did it, it was really bad. And he was a journalist, Khashoggi, wasn't he? And I don't know if he getting information about the Saudis. It was embarrassing, or who knows.
That's
what it was
that's
that
what
was
they
causing
claimed.
the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Right.
is that not all of his reporting was favorable. Look, there are some Republican lawmakers who are concerned about potentially selling these F-35s, and part of the reason they're worried about it is it could upend the military balance in the Middle East and make Israel angry. So, you know, on the one hand, President Trump is trying to say, let's normalize relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And of course, Saudi Arabia is an Arab country and Israel is not. And but there are concerns from Republican lawmakers in D.C. that the sale of these F-35s could upend that balance there.
Yeah, and when we heard from Karen Travers just a minute ago, she said exactly that Trump is also putting pressure on the Saudis to normalize relationships with the Israelis. I don't know, like you say, throwing in a few F-35 fighter jets might not be the best way to smooth things over, but I also think, you know, good fences make good neighbors. Good jets make good neighbors, I guess, when you have some
fighter jets.
Right, yes.
Yeah, good fighter jets make good neighbors. So, yeah, it's interesting, the idea, I guess, between how much does an F-35 sell for? It's a lot. So some, I think there's still, the Middle East is still tenuous. I think the peace in the Middle East, if you can even call it that. Although this week the UN Security Council voted to approve the 20-point plan that President Trump had offered between Gaza and Israel, and so there's at least that there's some international backing for this plan. And if you remember, we talked about the ceasefire when it began, saying the Hamas was going to release hostages and alive and their bodies of the ones who were dead. And yet there's been back and forth between the two parties, but there are 19 other steps of the plan.
Yeah, and we're digressing a little bit, but that hasn't gone quite as well as everyone expected. I'm glad, like you indicated, that the United Nations is on board and maybe keeping everybody's feet to the fire. But the Israelis and Hamas, ceasefire or not, have not played nice, and it's continued to escalate, or at least it's continued to go back and forth. And what happens with Gaza remains to be seen. There's going to be a lot going on there. Hopefully this 19-20-point plan comes to fruition, and a lot of people, because there were probably millions who were displaced, and could get back into their homes and their communities and try to reestablish the villages that they had and the cities that they had that were really thriving just as recently as a couple of years ago.
So again, back to the visit with the Saudi Crown Prince. I mean, I think the White House has pulled out all the stops. They've greeted him as an honored guest and are basically showing him, I don't know, do you call it a good time? Showing him a generous and warm welcome.
Yeah. Well, and he's got a big pocketbook, and he's willing to spend some money in the United States, and that's always a good thing for the Trump administration to show that they're having those kind of financial relationships. And it's not just fighter jets. I mean, there is technology that they're purchasing, artificial intelligence, things like that the United States wants to be at the forefront of. And if we're not selling it, China will, or someone else will. And if we're not selling our F-35s, maybe Russia does, or who knows. So, I mean, I think you want to try to normalize relationships as much as possible, especially in the Middle East, and get as many countries as you can to realize that you're there to try to keep the peace in that region. And
I have an answer for you on the
Sure.
F-35s. So this is there's an agreement. So Israel actually has F-35s, and there is an agreement, a longstanding policy, which is actually codified in law to maintain Israel's, quote, qualitative military edge over other Middle Eastern countries. And so what would happen, and why some people are concerned, is that if Saudi Arabia also had F-35s, then it levels the playing field, and Israel no longer has that qualitative advantage.
Which is something that we
as a country have said this is the way we want things in the Middle East. So from our perspectives as the United States, we have weighed in and said we want Israel to have the advantage.
Superiority.
Yep, superiority. And they have that partially by these F-35s already.
So, they may not be particularly happy about this sell then, when Israelis look at this and say, hey, wait a minute, I thought we had an understanding. Well, we'll see how that goes. And there's the F-35, I think, is one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world that's being made right now. I mean, it's
my brother, who's currently a pilot for UPS, he flew the F-35, and he said the console itself is classified. He couldn't even describe what the console looked like.
If I tell you, I'll have to shoot you.
Something like that.
Right. Well, when we come back, we have more for Inside Sources. Stay with us.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. A Tooele County High School is under secure hold after a suspicious substance was found in a bathroom. The Tooele County School District says no one is coming in and out of Deseret Peak High while officials perform tests. They did not say what the substance is or how it was discovered. There is no timeline yet on when the scene will be clear. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Federal investigators say they know the likely cause of last year's Baltimore bridge collapse.
A series of blackouts aboard the ship that crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge last year were caused by a loose wire, according to NTSB investigators who voted on the crash's probable cause today. Investigators say the wire's label was improperly installed, causing the wire to loosen over time and ultimately disconnect from its breaker. 6 people were killed in the bridge collapse. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 320 points. The S&P is down 21 points. And coming up, cloudy skies today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:30.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The holidays are all about opening your home and your heart. And Zero Res is here to help you do both. Whether you're hosting family or coming home after traveling, there's nothing like walking into a house that feels fresh and clean. But did you know your carpets can hold up to 40 pounds of dust, dirt, even pet dander and bacteria? Zero Res cleans it all the right way, using patented chemical-free technology that leaves no residue. It's safe for kids, pets, and the people you love most. And this month, Zero Res is helping the whole community shine a little brighter. Donate canned food to the food bank through your Zero Res technician and get a 4th room free as a thank you. That's on top of getting 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $139. So get your home holiday ready while giving back to those in need. Visit ZeroRes.com today. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zero Res is the right way to clean.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Tito Nani.
Smooth, trouble-free drive traveling in either direction on I-15 as you make your way throughout the valley. There is an accident. It's on westbound I-84 in Morgan. It's just about 2 miles before the mouth of Weber Canyon. The right lane appears to be blocked, but delays look minimal. Other than that, all secondary freeways and major roads look to be in great shape. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high 57 with cloudy skies today. The clouds stick around for the next few days. Chances for a storm in the valley tomorrow. Rain the next 2 days down in St. George with highs in the 50s. Right now it is 55 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We've been talking about the KSL Kindness Campaign. We highlight stories of kindness, and I have to share a personal one, Holly, before we start here. Yesterday, I've told a little bit about this story. I had court in Junction.
Yeah.
And I have an electric car. It was the dumbest thing I did. But anyway, I thought I'd drive the electric car. Of course, I'm on crutches. I had a bad accident. And I stop in Nephi because that's where you can charge Teslas. And it said you're going to be charging for 30 minutes. There's nothing close to the charging station. So I'm on my crutches crawling over these rocks and getting to this little gas station where I bought a cup of coffee. For some reason, I just thought a cup of coffee would be so good. And the woman that was working there looked at me and she said, "You're never going to get that cup back in your car." She was the only one working. She was working alone. She grabbed it. She walked out to my car. She unlocked the car. She put the cup in the cup holder, left her business, helped me put the crutches in. I mean, the nicest thing in the world. And she just walked back to work and didn't think anything of it. But I thought, what an incredible, because I didn't even ask. It was just so kind.
Yeah, that really is amazing. And, you know, we yesterday when we talked about stories, we had our texters share some of the organizations that they are doing kind acts for. So I would love to hear again today from our texters 57500, a kind act you either witnessed or you did for somebody or what you're doing right now as we enter the holiday season. But I wanted to talk about this story that I saw on KSL. And I remember the story of the little girl who was involved. So earlier in the spring, it was in the end of May, a little girl named, I think it's Camry, Alvarez, was hit in the parking lot of a Costco in Idaho, and she passed away. And her parents took her love of animals as a little 3-year-old, and so she would have turned 4 just recently had she not been killed. And they took that opportunity to gather donations of pet supplies for 6 local animal welfare organizations up in Idaho. I thought that was super sweet.
Yeah, I don't remember that incident, but I'm just reading about it. A 3-year-old, Camry Alvarez. I mean, oh my, I can't even imagine anything more heartbreaking.
I know.
Even for the operator of the vehicle
in the parking lot, right? And I do remember that story. And you know, we're talking about these acts of kindness. I think one of the things her parents said that they had adopted a cat from the Pocatello Animal Shelter, and that their little girl kept looking at the animals for like an hour until the shelter closed. And so that because she just loved being around these animals all the time.
One kind act a day. I mean, how hard is it? I mean, and it's easy for me to say, but one kind act a day. Like I say, I enjoyed one yesterday from a very kind person. But it makes a huge difference in someone's life if you think about that. Just letting someone in when you're driving that needs.
Look,
to
that
cut
can
in.
be a kind act.
Right,
It can also be a safety
Right,
call.
yes, right.
Look, so on thepowerofkind.org, there's an article that literally is titled "Ask Your Therapist if kindness is right for you," and one of the things that it points out, well, it's true, right? Is being kind, is it good for you? And one of the things they say is, look, it is good. You need to be kind to yourself too, but that doesn't mean that you go into becoming narcissistic, right? You don't want to do that. But being kind to others, and it's so interesting. You don't want to become self-indulgent, but there's a book called The Wonder Drug, which would belong, they say in this article, in the helping others section of a bookstore, because it talks about the benefits of service. And, we've talked about that on this show before, how the person who receives the service benefits, but also how the person who is doing service can benefit.
Yeah, and I remember this. A lot of us who were in the scouting program remember the old.
That's right.
Do a good turn daily, and we always thought about helping the old person across the street. Just seeing someone who needed that level of help, and as a scout, that was something you could think about, something you could focus on, something you could observe and think. You know what? I can make a difference here. I'll do a kind act. I'll help this person get where they need to go.
So one of the studies that they talk about on the power of kind on this article, they looked at 3 different groups. And so they had one group that practiced loving kindness meditation. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
It's basically where you're thinking about another person or a group of people, and you start with those closest to you, and you're talking about, you're thinking and meditating on sending out loving kindness, right? They also had one group focused on actually doing acts of kindness, and then they had a control group. So who do you think did the best?
Yes.
It was the group that did the acts of
course.
kindness to
Right.
reduce depression. They also found that the meditation helped, but the thing that did the most to reduce depression were these acts of kindness. And it says, this is kind of funny, it was able to reduce depression in individuals who were, quote, low on agreeableness, which is scientific language for grouchy people.
At a time, I know it's a little bit schmaltzy to talk about kindness, but at a time in our state, in our country, in our world's history where we're not as kind as we could be, it is important more than ever that people think about things like this. Because, I mean, you and I sit here in the studio and prepare for the show and watch, and there's TV screens going on and news going on around, and it's not a lot of kindness. There's not a lot of love right now in the world, and maybe that's just because the media, we're part of it, doesn't talk about the kind things that happen. But boy, when you hear about things like what we're talking about today, it really makes a difference.
Yeah. Look, there's some real physical benefits to being kind, and I'm going to tell you some of them. So cortisol is a hormone that is produced in response to a stress stimulus, right? So chronically high levels of cortisol, if you're on alert all the time, fight or flight, that's how we recognize cortisol. It can lead to weight gain, bone density loss, memory impairment, and more. But if you are serving other people, your cortisol level drops. Serotonin is one of the feel-good brain hormones. We also have dopamine. We know that. Those hormones are boosted when we are kind to other people. And oxytocin is as well. And oxytocin is called the love hormone because it's one of the things produced by moms when they have a new baby and they're breastfeeding that new baby. They have this symbiotic relationship with nursing and production of oxytocin, which makes you want to love and cuddle that cute little baby. But you can have oxytocin also released by serving people.
And we're talking about the KSL Kindness Campaign. We're highlighting stories of kindness, talking about different agencies and foundations that are part of this. You can learn more about from thepowerofkind.org. That's the Power of One Kind Act a Day project by the Semnani Family Foundation.
Look, we have a texter who reminds us that humankind as one word equals human plus kind, and I think that is correct also. So you mentioned a kind act that you just had done for you yesterday. I think for me, it's a lot of times when I think about kind acts, it really is smaller things. We've talked about sometimes some big things, but some of the smaller things. Like, have you ever been through the drive-through line and the person in front of you had paid for the person behind you?
Oh, yeah.
Like the pay it forward kind of thing.
Pay it forward, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun, yeah.
That can really make a difference.
Yeah,
Or
and it's the kind of kindness that you don't get, I don't know what the word is. It's almost anonymous because they don't know who you are.
that's right.
And those are the kind of kind acts that you really should do. That you're not even called out on. People don't even know you did it.
Yeah.
That's the true act of kindness, I think, in some respects.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's not just interesting, right? It's something that I think we need to focus more on. And like you mentioned, we see the news stories, they're depressing. And I remember a long time ago hearing about the news that if it bleeds, it leads. There's some truth in that, but we do want to talk about kindnesses. And one of my friends online started a little project, a social media project called Tiny Kindnesses. And she's shared literally thousands of little stories. And some of them are just like, look, somebody showed up with dinner at my house when they didn't know that I'd had a really hard day at work, but I had, and their act of kindness, just showing up with food. I just had that happen with somebody who brought me ice cream right before I went to Ethiopia because it was so stressful trying to get ready. And she said, here, I know it's been a hard day.
When I got home from the hospital last week, there were three walkers in my driveway from neighbors who said, Skordas, you're going to need something to walk around on. And I'm still using them today.
That is kind. And so we actually have, as we transition to our last segment, we have some exciting news for Utah music enthusiasts. The 2026 Kilby Block Party lineup has been announced.
And we'll never be royal.
We'll learn more about that when we get back.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Makita knows that pros never settle, and neither do we. With Makita, you get tools that perform at the highest level on every job without compromise. Makita is for the most detailed pros, expertly engineered to deliver precision, job after job. When your work calls for the best, call on Makita. Makita, built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Black Friday deals are back at Scandinavian Designs. For a limited time, discover incredible savings on Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for every space in your home. From statement pieces for your living room to instant upgrades for the dining room, bedroom, and more. It's the perfect time to refresh your favorite space or reimagine your entire home. Scandinavian Designs. We make it simple. You make it home. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. YWCA Utah is a nonprofit organization committed to eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, and dignity for all. Through their programs and services, they're fostering a stronger, more connected community. CEO Liz Owens joins us with more.
At YWCA Utah, we provide safety, healing, and hope for families rebuilding from violence. Every year, our 24/7 crisis shelter answers thousands of calls and offers more than 70,000 nights of safety to over 500 survivors. Families find nourishment with more than 75,000 meals, stability through 36 deeply affordable apartments, and care that begins in early childhood and extends through the teenage years. None of this happens alone. Our partnerships with businesses and community leaders make this work possible. When women and families are safe and supported, our entire economy is stronger. One of the most meaningful ways businesses can get involved right now is through Candy Cane Lane, our annual holiday event that ensures families healing from violence experience the joy and dignity of the season. Through sponsorship, volunteering, and in-kind giving, together we can build a safer, healthier, and more prosperous Utah for everyone.
YWCA Utah is making a real difference by providing essential support and resources that transform lives. Their programs help families stay strong, children receive quality education, and women gain the tools and confidence to reach their goals. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So this is exciting news for the Utah music enthusiasts. The 2026 Kilby Block Party lineup has been announced. Of course, I'm going to need a little bit of help with what the Kilby Block Party announcement is, but we do have some familiar artists. That's Lorde. She does nothing wrong, but we don't hear much from her anymore.
I don't know anything about the Kilby Block Party. In fact, I've never even heard of it before, so I'm sure I'm showing my age. So luckily, we have an expert in studio with us. That's Parley Scott. She's KSL digital content producer. Thanks, Parley.
Yeah, of course.
Just start from the very beginning.
Okay,
What
let's
is
do
the
it.
Kilby Block Party?
So the Kilby Block Party is a 3-day music festival. This is actually the 7th year they've done it.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually really cool because it just started as like a tiny little music festival for like a day. They used to like block off the road kind of by Kilby Court, the little tiny music festival. And then it just got like bigger and bigger like each year. And now they do it at the Utah State Fair Park for 3 whole days, which is amazing.
Wow. So who are headliners this year?
So this year we've got Lorde, crazy, the XX, Turnstile, we've got Blood Orange, Modest Mouse. There's like seriously something for everyone.
I don't know anybody except
Really?
for Lorde.
So when is this?
So this is next year, May 15th through the 17th.
The Kilby Block Party, and there are some big names. I mean,
Yes.
pretty impressive. Who sponsors this? How is it organized? Do we know?
I actually don't know. I know it started with Kilby Court, just the music venue.
right.
Just started just like inviting artists and like mostly local artists, and it just each year has gotten bigger and bigger, and people are just more and more excited online.
So have you gone every year or?
So I've gone the last 4 years.
Great.
Which
What do you
is-
look forward to?
And
Yeah.
Just so much fun. Like even the times I haven't known like every artist, I've just had the best time. Like it's like so important to my family, the music. Like we always go, my sisters, my dad, all my friends, we just get a big group together. I always see like friends and it's also so cool because I have a lot of people that come from out of state that come and just come for the 3 days because they're like, this is such an amazing special music festival.
So a two-part question.
Yeah,
when
go
do
ahead.
tickets go on sale and how much are they?
So actually, I think you can do it like early release, like a little bit ago, but you have to be on a list. But they are released next week sometime. GA 3-day is $250, which is I think a pretty good deal
For 3 days.
3
Of
days
course it
and
is,
like
yeah, for all the
70 plus artists. Like it's amazing.
So it's an outdoor festival.
Yes.
And so what is it? Do they use the grandstands that are there at the
Yeah.
fair
So
park?
there's usually about 3. I think last year there was 4 stages.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, interesting. So it sounds like it's growing. How many people do you know? How many people show up over those 3 days?
I seriously have no idea, but it feels crazier each year. Like it just more people are like knowing about it, learning about it. You can also get just a day pass. So if you like just like one artist or just a few that day, you can just do that. And I think that's like a great option for people too.
And
So
they
yeah.
have vendors set up. You can get sandwich. You can get you can get
food,
soda. You
drinks.
can get whatever you want.
They have like VIP sections, couches, first aid.
It's such a great use for the fair park because
yeah.
it's a
So
huge
cool.
facility. Parking is fairly easy
Yeah.
to get.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it's freeway, from
Yeah, I
Redwood
mean,
Road, from all kinds of access.
you just get you can get a parking pass and park there. I've never had a problem doing that. And also the tracks lets you out like right there. So that's a great option as well.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us, Parley. That is the Kilby Block Party. It will be held in May. May 15th to the 17th, and we know that Lord is coming, and that's the only person I recognize.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. So, fun facts of the day. Today is Mickey Mouse's birthday. I just want you to know that.
And Mickey Mouse is probably
97.
I was going to say
actually.
older than Jake Garn.
Yeah,
by
but
4 years.
only by a
Yeah,
little.
I
Yeah.
think that would be a close call there.
So it's Mickey Mouse Day. It's Mickey Mouse's birthday. And remember when he was first introduced, his name was not Mickey Mouse. Do you remember? Well, I guess maybe it was, but he made his first appearance on Steamboat Willie. He didn't look the same as he does today, right? He had like a longer nose, and anyway,
Did
but he was the first
Did he have
one.
a different name?
I don't know, but
Oh.
he was on Steamboat Willie and looked a little different. Now, of course, his look is kind of iconic.
Very much so.
Okay.
And the little ears. If you
Yeah.
go to Disneyland, you got to buy the
That's
Mickey
right.
Mouse ears.
Oh my gosh. And you can find like 25,000 different varieties of
Right,
ears.
right.
Okay, I have a ton of fun facts for today. So have you ever been to Rome?
No,
Okay, St. Peter's Basilica, it's huge, right? It's big, it's really elaborate and ornate. I've been there several times. But on this day in the year 326, it was first dedicated. So they had a small, it was much smaller than today's church. In 326, it was dedicated. In 1626, the basilica that we know today was dedicated on the same spot.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
Is it just monstrous?
Huge.
Is it huge?
Huge. And it's really ornate and elaborate and still sometimes, so 1626 is 400 years ago,
Do
right?
they still hold services there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But as far as like American history, we would never dream of having a cathedral 400 years old that is something as big as St. Peter's Basilica.
Right.
Okay, this is an interesting story to me. So you are familiar, I'm guessing, with the brand Jell-O.
Of course.
But before that, there was Knox Gelatin Company. So the name is Knox. It was actually founded by a woman. She was born on this day in 1857. So she co-founded it with her husband, the Knox Gelatin Company. So gelatin is an animal-based product, but it's used to thicken all kinds of things. But when her husband died, she revolutionized the company, and she initiated a 5-day work week and 2-week vacations every year. So that was just really something revolutionary for late 1800s, right?
And now Jell-O is its own standalone.
Well, it's a different
snack,
brand, right?
Yes,
yeah,
right.
yeah. And of course, we love our Jell-O in Utah. I had to share this one story before we run out of time. We did have one texter during the break let us know about acts of kindness, and this texter told us it's been a difficult year. And they have a friend on hospice. Their basement flooded. They've been in some disputes, and And they say, to stay on top of my mental health, I volunteered for Camp Hope and am currently involved with a community theater production of It's a Wonderful Life. And then they say this, which is so touching. They say, grief is love with nowhere to go, so I'm pouring it all into the play and cast. That is super touching. Okay, back to some of our fun facts. So,
I love our listeners.
Yeah, we love our listeners. They're so great.
Put that down. That's really nice.
So, you've never been pregnant. I've been pregnant a few times.
Several times, right.
So women in our audience may relate to this. On this day in 1914, Mary McDermott gave birth to triplets. So these would have been naturally, spontaneously occurring triplets. They weighed a total of 24 pounds.
Ouch.
So basically the triplets were 8 pounds apiece.
Good-sized kids
all
by
good-sized
themselves.
Kids.
Right.
The heaviest set of triplets ever born. And during her lifetime, she and her husband Michael would also have 3 sets of twins and 6 singletons, 6 single babies. So 24 pounds of triplets, 3 sets of twins, and 6 single babies. That's a big family.
Right, yes.
Almost as big as mine.
That's a lot of kids. 3 plus 6 plus 1, 10 kids sounds like.
And then we have one last sad fun fact. Do you know the phrase "Don't drink the Kool-Aid"?
Yes.
It came from the Jonestown
of course,
murders. That was on this day in 1978. 909 people died. That was Jonestown mass murder suicide on this day in 1978.
And people still use that phrase.
Yep.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Well, that's a wrap for Inside Sources today. Midday with Maria Shilaos. We'll have more on a Tooele High School that is under secure hold for an unknown substance that was found inside this morning. Stay with us on KSL News.